studio is here with Phil Hellmuth, and we're going to talk about No Limit Hold'em and how tournaments and cash games differ. Phil, what's the biggest difference between No Limit Hold'em and tournaments and cash games?
Well, I mean, an ante. You never play in a No Limit Hold'em cash game that has an ante, basically. So that's a huge difference. And with no ante, Hold'em's designed to be a very, very tight game where you can just fold and fold and fold. So in a side game, it's correct to just fold forever, you know? Whereas in a tournament, you can't fold forever.
So what skills are more important in a tournament?
I think the skills translate well. I mean, you have to know when someone has a hand, when they're strong or when they're weak. The thing is, in the cash games, you play with guys that know the value of deuces, threes, and fours. They will play those kind of hands a lot of times in order to try to hit a set.
Yeah.
So occasionally you're going to have to make a great laydown because you know your opponent has a set. In a cash game, it's more difficult in a tournament.
Where do you think that math is more important?
Well, math is important in both, but math is not the be-all. It's not the tell-all. It's just one thing. But, you know, if you want to be a great No Limit Hold'em player, you have to look across the table and know whether they're weak or strong.
What about bluffing? Where is bluffing a bigger key skill?
Well, I mean, bluffing's important in both. You know, I mean, sometimes in the cash games, they just won't let you bluff them.
That's what I'm saying. How can you pull off a bluff in a cash game? It seems like it would be more difficult.
It's more difficult, you know, because you're playing against people that, you know, that are letting you bluff. I mean, when I play in a cash game or a tournament, I give people rope, you know, to hang themselves, to make bluffs. Like I might slow play aces or a set in order to let them bluff off their money, but then sometimes a weird card hits and they can actually get away with bluffing me.
So if a tournament player came, or excuse me, if a cash game player came up to you and said, Phil, I'm about to play in my first major tournament, what's the best piece of advice that you can offer me? What would you tell them?
You know, I mean, I would tell them that they really have to play patiently until there's antes, and then, you know, once an hour, try to come over the top of somebody when you know that they're weak.
This is the last question. Do you think that it's possible for a tournament player to support themselves and their family strictly playing tournament poker?
Well, I think so, but I'm not sure about that. You know, tournaments are too kind of hit and miss, and if you're trying to support yourself, then you can do it in tournaments. If you're trying to support yourself and a family, cash games help a lot. You know, I mean, that's what I did for years and years when I had to actually pay the bills. Is I would go to a tournament, I'd play the main event and a few other tournaments, but I'd also be playing the cash games. I used to really enjoy on the East Coast. The games were so good, and in LA the games are always so good. So
what made the game so good?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of action.
Great. Thank you very much, Phil. Lizzie Harrison with Phil Hellmuth for Card Player TV.